I wrote the full script in a format ready for narration. Have you ever looked at someone and assumed they were ordinary? Have you ever believed a person's job defined their worth? One cold Monday morning in downtown Chicago, a powerful CEO made that exact mistake. She mocked a quiet single dad serving coffee in her office building. She thought he was just another worker trying to get through the day. But only a few hours later, that same man walked into her boardroom and left everyone speechless. What happened next became a lesson nobody in that building would ever forget. Before we begin, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Welcome to Kindness Paradise, where every story reminds us that kindness can change lives in ways we never expect. The morning rush was in full swing when Daniel Parker pushed his coffee cart into the lobby of a large corporate tower. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air as employees hurried past him toward elevators and meetings. Daniel had been running the coffee service for almost 3 years. Every morning, he arrived before sunrise and worked until afternoon. It wasn't glamorous work, but it paid the bills. Most people didn't know his story. Daniel was a widowed father raising his 10-year-old daughter, Emma. After losing his wife to an illness years earlier, he had taken whatever jobs he could find to support his little girl. Life had been difficult, but he never complained. Instead, he greeted everyone with a smile. That morning, the CEO of a major technology company, Victoria Reynolds, entered the lobby. Victoria was famous for her success. She had built a multi-million-dollar company and was known for demanding excellence from everyone around her. Employees respected her intelligence, but many feared her sharp tongue. As she approached the elevators, she noticed Daniel accidentally spill a few drops of coffee while serving a customer. Victoria shook her head. "Maybe if you paid more attention, you wouldn't be serving coffee for a living," she said loudly. The lobby became silent. Several employees looked uncomfortable. Daniel felt the sting of embarrassment, but he remained calm. "I'm sorry about the spill," he replied politely. Victoria smirked. "Some people are meant for bigger things. Others aren't." Then she walked away. The words hurt more than Daniel wanted to admit. For a moment, he thought about responding. But instead, he cleaned the counter and continued serving customers with the same smile he always wore. One elderly security guard watched the exchange and shook his head. "You didn't deserve that," he told Daniel. Daniel simply smiled. "Everyone has hard days. Maybe she's carrying a burden we can't see." The guard was surprised by his response. Most people would have been angry. Daniel chose kindness. Hours passed. Meanwhile, on the top floor of the building, Victoria prepared for one of the most important board meetings in company history. Her company was struggling with a major software project. Investors were losing confidence, deadlines had been missed, and the board wanted answers. Victoria felt enormous pressure. As directors entered the boardroom, tension filled the air. The chairman stood and addressed the group. "We have one final candidate who may be able to save this project," he announced. Victoria reviewed the resume in front of her. The candidate's name was familiar. But before she could think about it further, the boardroom doors opened. Everyone turned. Victoria's eyes widened. Walking into the room was Daniel, the coffee server, the single dad she had mocked just hours earlier. A stunned silence spread across the room. Victoria blinked several times, certain she must be mistaken. But it was him. Daniel calmly greeted the board members and took a seat at the presentation table. "What is going on?" Victoria whispered. The chairman smiled. "Mr. Parker is the lead software architect who designed the original framework for this project." Victoria stared in disbelief. The chairman continued. After leaving a major tech company several years ago to care for his family, he stepped away from corporate work. Recently, we've been consulting with him privately because of his expertise. The room was silent. Victoria suddenly remembered the name. Daniel Parker was a respected technology expert whose innovations had once been featured in industry magazines. She couldn't believe she had never connected the dots. Daniel began his presentation. For the next hour, he explained exactly how to solve the company's problems. His solutions were clear, practical, and brilliant. Board members asked difficult questions. Daniel answered every one with confidence and professionalism. By the end of the meeting, the board was impressed. Several directors nodded enthusiastically. One even called the presentation the best they had seen all year. Victoria sat quietly. She felt embarrassed. Not because Daniel had proven himself successful, but because she had judged him before knowing anything about him. After the meeting ended, the board approved Daniel's proposal. As people left the room, Victoria approached him. For the first time all day, she seemed unsure of herself. "Daniel," she said softly, "I owe you an apology." Daniel looked at her kindly. "You don't owe me anything." "Yes, I do," she replied. "I judged you. I assumed your job told me everything about who you were." Daniel smiled gently. "My job does tell people something about me." Victoria looked confused. "It tells them I work hard for my daughter." The words hit her heart. Daniel continued, "There's no shame in honest work. Whether someone runs a company or serves coffee, every person deserves respect." Victoria lowered her eyes. She knew he was right. "I was wrong," she admitted. Daniel nodded. "Then learn from it. That's what matters." Weeks later, Daniel officially joined the project as a senior consultant. The company's turnaround became a success. But something else changed too. Victoria began treating everyone differently. She learned the names of janitors, receptionists, security guards, and maintenance workers. She listened more. She judged less. The culture of the company slowly transformed. Employees noticed. People felt valued. People felt seen. And it all started because one man chose kindness when he had every reason to be angry. Years later, Victoria would often share the story with new employees. She always ended it the same way. The smartest person in the room may not look the way you expect. The strongest person may be carrying burdens you'll never see. Treat everyone with respect because every person has a story. Daniel never became famous. He never sought attention. He simply continued being a great father and a kind human being. And perhaps that was his greatest success of all. So the next time you meet someone, remember this story. Don't judge them by their clothes, their job title, or where they stand in life today. You never know what battles they have fought, what dreams they carry, or what wisdom they possess. Kindness costs nothing, but its impact can last forever. One respectful word, one moment of understanding, one act of compassion can completely change someone's day, or even their life. And sometimes, the person you choose to treat with kindness today may be the very person who teaches you the most important lesson tomorrow. Sure, here is the same style of script, but with a different brand name instead of Kindness Paradise. Have you ever been judged by someone who didn't know your story? Have you ever watched a person look down on another human being simply because of their job? What happened in a busy New York office tower one rainy morning left an entire company speechless. A powerful CEO laughed at a single dad serving coffee, believing he was just another invisible worker. But before the day was over, that same man would walk into a boardroom and change everything. What the CEO discovered that afternoon wasn't just shocking, it was life-changing. And the lesson she learned would stay with her forever. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Every act of support helps us bring more inspiring stories to you. Welcome to Heartwarming Stories Hub, where kindness, compassion, and hope remind us of the best parts of being human. Daniel Carter woke up every morning at 4:30 a.m. While most of the city was still asleep, he quietly got ready for work, prepared breakfast for his 11-year-old daughter Sophie, and left a small note beside her lunchbox. Every note carried a simple message. I love you. Have a great day. Life had not been easy for Daniel. 5 years earlier, he had lost his wife after a long illness. Since then, he had devoted every ounce of energy to raising Sophie alone. To make ends meet, he worked several jobs, including serving coffee in one of Manhattan's largest office buildings. Most people who bought coffee from him knew nothing about his life. They saw a friendly smile, a clean uniform, and a hard-working man. But they never knew how much strength it took for him to keep going every day. That rainy Tuesday seemed like any other. Business professionals hurried through the lobby carrying briefcases and umbrellas. Daniel greeted each customer warmly. Good morning. Have a wonderful day. Stay dry out there. His kindness was genuine. Then the lobby doors opened. Victoria Lawson, CEO of a rapidly growing technology company, entered the building. She was known throughout the industry for her intelligence and success. She had built her company from the ground up and was admired by investors across the country. But success had also made her impatient. And on that particular morning, She was in a terrible mood. A major business deal was falling apart. Investors were asking difficult questions. Her stress level was through the roof. As she approached Daniel's coffee station, he handed a cup to another customer. A few drops accidentally splashed onto the counter. Victoria stopped and rolled her eyes. "Wow," she said loudly. "I guess serving coffee isn't as easy as it looks." Several people nearby glanced toward them. Daniel quickly grabbed a towel. "I'm sorry about that," he said politely. Victoria laughed. "Don't apologize to me. Just try not to mess up the only job you've got." The lobby fell silent. The comment hung in the air. Daniel felt embarrassed, but he remained calm. "I'll clean it right away," he replied. Victoria shook her head and walked away. To her, the moment was insignificant. To everyone else, it felt cruel. An older maintenance worker who witnessed everything approached Daniel afterward. "You didn't deserve that." Daniel offered a small smile. "Everyone struggles with something. Maybe she's having a difficult day." The maintenance worker stared at him in surprise. Most people would have responded with anger. Daniel responded with understanding. Hours later, Victoria sat in her company's executive boardroom preparing for a critical meeting. Her company had spent millions of dollars developing a new software platform. Unfortunately, the project was failing. Deadlines had been missed. Customers were frustrated. The board demanded solutions. As executives settled into their seats, the chairman addressed the room. "Today we'll hear from the consultant we've brought in to evaluate the project." Victoria glanced at the agenda. The consultant's name seemed familiar. Before she could think about it, the conference room door opened. The room became quiet. Victoria looked up and nearly dropped her pen. Walking confidently into the room was Daniel, the coffee server, the single father she had mocked only hours earlier. Victoria stared in disbelief. The chairman smiled. "Everyone, I'd like you to meet Daniel Carter, one of the most respected software architects in the industry." The room applauded. Victoria couldn't believe what she was hearing. The chairman continued. Before stepping away from corporate life to focus on family responsibilities, Daniel helped develop several groundbreaking systems still used by major companies today. Victoria felt her face grow warm. Daniel calmly connected his laptop and began speaking. For the next hour, he analyzed every problem facing the company. His presentation was brilliant. He identified mistakes nobody else had noticed. He proposed solutions that were both practical and innovative. Board members listened carefully. Executives took notes. Even the harshest critics seemed impressed. By the time he finished, the room erupted into applause. One director called it the most valuable presentation they had seen in years. Victoria sat silently. The man she had dismissed that morning had just become the smartest person in the room. After the meeting ended, everyone gathered their things. Victoria remained behind. As Daniel packed his laptop, she slowly approached him. For the first time all day, she looked uncertain. "Daniel," she said quietly. He looked up. "I owe you an apology." Daniel waited patiently. "This morning, I judged you without knowing anything about you. I was rude and disrespectful." Daniel smiled gently. "We all make mistakes." Victoria shook her head. "No. I assumed your job determined your value. That's something I should never have done." Daniel nodded thoughtfully. "My job does say something about me." Victoria looked confused. "It shows that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to take care of my daughter." His answer hit her like a wave. In that moment, Victoria understood something she had forgotten during her climb to success. Every person carries a story. Every person faces challenges. Every person deserves dignity, no matter what job they do. "I'm truly sorry," she said. Daniel smiled. "Then use it as a lesson. That's enough for me." Over the following months, Daniel helped save the struggling project. The company recovered. Customers returned. Investors regained confidence. But the biggest transformation happened inside Victoria herself. She began greeting security guards by name. She thanked janitors for their hard work. She listened to receptionists and maintenance workers. For the first time in years, she saw people instead of positions. The company's culture changed dramatically. Employees felt respected. Morale improved. Productivity increased. All because one act of patience and kindness had opened someone's eyes. Years later, Victoria often shared Daniel's story during leadership meetings. She would always end with the same message. Never underestimate anyone. Titles don't define character. Income doesn't determine worth. Every person deserves respect. Daniel never sought recognition. He never wanted praise. He simply continued working hard, loving his daughter, and treating people with kindness. And in the end, that quiet kindness changed far more lives than he ever realized. So if this story teaches us anything, it's this: never judge someone by their job, their appearance, or their circumstances. You never know the battles they fought or the strength they carry inside. Kindness is free. Respect costs nothing. Yet both have the power to transform lives. Today, choose kindness. Offer a smile. Show patience. Treat others with dignity. Because the smallest act of kindness can create a ripple that travels farther than you ever imagine.